Hi everyone, Rocker here. Today I just want to talk a little bit about the upcoming trial and a couple of things that are going to be coming out in the trial down in the States. Is that first of all, we're just going to discuss in a little bit of detail about as far as slavery in general from a Gorean perspective. Now they're going to try to sensationalize this in the trial, saying that it is similar to a popular TV show that has taken place called The Handmaid Tales. Now if you look behind me, is I actually live in Cambridge, where a lot of the Handmaid Tales, some of it was filmed. And if you look over there to over my shoulder on this side, is that's actually the river walk, where some of the handmaids they'd be walking along the river, and that's where that was filmed. It's just a few blocks away from where I live. So the Handmaid Tales basically is that it's a totally different kind of a concept of slavery. Is that the people were forced into slavery, they didn't have a choice, uh, and it was a very dictatorial kind of a regime that was set up in Gilead. Now, in Gore, not talking about the fantasy books or as far as the fictional aspect of it, but in real life, is that Gorean slavery is consensual. Is that uh, people enter into a relationship dynamic based on slavery aspect from a consensual standpoint. And what that means is that a person decides that they want to be able to surrender, or they need to be able to surrender to someone that's in power, i.e., a master or a free woman. Now, that consent is only there when they are in that relationship. If they choose to be able to leave that relationship, they are able to leave that relationship. They are not stuck in that relationship. They are not confined to that relationship. They could either choose to stay or to leave. Now, that's one of the big differences that you'll have is that people, as soon as they hear the word slavery, they automatically think, oh, they don't have a choice. Well, in real life Gorean relationships and dynamics, you always have a choice. You have a choice to stay or to leave, a choice to obey or disobey. And with them come consequences. If you decide to leave a relationship, well, then you're leaving, you're on your own. If you decide to stay, then you stay in that relationship based on the dynamics and the agreements that you have come up with your master or with your slave. It's very simple. People have a tendency of wanting to make this a big deal. It really isn't. It's like entering a marriage or leaving a marriage. Is that if you decide that you don't want to be in that marriage anymore, even though you might have made the vows under God and your religion might be against it or whatever, you have that choice that you are able to be able to do that. Slavery from a Gorean perspective is basically the same thing. So that's one of the first things I want to talk about, the fact that slavery within the Gorean community is always consensual. If it is not consensual, then there are huge red flags there. Now, unfortunately, there have been a couple of trials in the past where you had some wingnuts and some whack jobs that claimed to be Gorean that actually weren't. That end up manipulating people, coercing people, blackmailing people, etc. That is not what the Gorean communities is about. That is not what Goreans believe or what Goreans practice. Like with any community, you're going to have some whack jobs. With any communities, you're going to have some wingnuts. And so I just want to make that fairly clear, is that from a Gorean perspective, and from the real life, offline Gorean community, is that we believe that everything is consensual. And so if you are a slave or a Kajira and you're thinking about entering into a Gorean dynamic, always remember that you are the one that chooses to enter that. You are the one that begs for the collar. It's not the master chasing after you and trying to slap a collar on you. It's not like in the books where you don't have a choice, okay? In reality, you don't see Goreans running around with a collar in their back pocket, going to Walmart or going to J. Penny's or some of these stores, and if they see somebody that looks really attractive, just running up to them and slapping a collar on them. That's not reality. That's fiction. That's fantasy, and it's basically a joke. If you have people that are talking about those kind of things, they are a joke. So just keep that in mind as well. Is that in the Gorean community, slavery is consensual. They choose to beg for a collar, and they choose to be in that relationship or to leave that relationship. You can come and go at any time if you so desire. You are not obligated to stay in that relationship. It's by choice, it's consensual, and that's basically what a healthy dynamic is within the Gorean community. So I just wanted to make that clear, is that it is not like Gone Gilead. And if you remember in the last episode that was filmed a few months ago, is what happened to Commander Lawrence. It's the first opportunity that the handmaids had to be able to seek revenge and retribution. Is they chased him down in the wilderness or in a bush just outside of Cambridge here, and according to the TV show, they ended up basically killing him. So, that was not, Gilead is not a consensual dynamic that you could try to parallel with the Gorean community, or what Goreans believe, because it is fictional. It's a fictional TV series. It's based on fantasy writings, the same as the Gor books itself is a fictional series. It is based on fantasy writings, but some of us have actually read the books, and many of the things that appeal within the books we have taken and have included into our lifestyles. Slavery is a terminology that we use, but it is not a negative thing or something that is oppressive. It is basically an understanding that you have people that are in authority, masters or free people, and you have people that are wanting to surrender to be able to be under somebody's authority, because they believe that is when they can be most happiest, is to be in a collar, to be sitting at the feet of someone that is in charge, someone that they feel that they have no choice but to be able to surrender to. And again, that's by choice. That's not by coercion, not by blackmail. It's not financial exchange or any of that nonsense, but it is by choice. You have people that are wanting to be able to do that, and that's their decision, and that's their consent that they're giving. Thank you very much. Take care.